Bring you some breaking news now from the United States, and the United States Supreme Court has overturned Roe v. Wade. That is the landmark court ruling from 1973 that legalized abortion nationwide. These are the scenes outside the US Supreme Court. It's important to say that this judgment had been leaked in draft form in May, and this is now confirmed by the Reuters news agency that the US Supreme Court has overturned that landmark ruling. Now, what this does not mean is that abortion becomes immediately illegal nationwide. It does not mean that. It means each state will be able to decide how much access women living there will have to abortion. It's thought about half of the 50 US states would move to ban abortions within weeks. Other states, though, would continue to provide access, not just for women in their state, but for those living in states where it would be banned. So, that breaking news, a long-awaited ruling by the US Supreme Court, and it has decided to overturn Roe v. Wade, a court decision from 1973, which for almost 50 years has guaranteed women the right to an abortion, certainly in the first trimester of pregnancy. And this decision will trigger, thought about half the states in the US to move to ban abortions within weeks. It is an issue that sharply divides public opinion in the United States. Passionately held views on both sides of the debate, those who are pro-choice and those who are anti-abortion. Let's bring in my colleague, Laura Trevelyan, who is in New York. Laura, this is a huge moment for the US.
Absolutely. For almost 50 years, Ben, there has been a federally guaranteed constitutional right for a woman to have an abortion, and that has now been overturned, and the decision has been returned to each individual state in the United States. So a woman's right and access to abortion will now depend on where she lives in America. So if you live here in New York, for example, you'll be able to get an abortion. But if you live in one of the 13 states across the United States that have, in anticipation of this ruling, already passed what are known as trigger laws, it will now be virtually impossible to get an abortion in those states. So what's very interesting now is, for example, in the 50 years since Roe versus Wade, there have been many medical developments, and there are now abortion pills which are available to women. Will those states that have already moved in anticipation of Roe versus Wade to make it virtually impossible to get an abortion, now the court has ruled this way, will those states also move to say that you cannot receive an abortion pill from out of state? Those campaigners for a woman's right to choose say that this decision is overwhelmingly going to impact poorer women in America, minority women, women who cannot afford to, in some cases now, drive 1,000 miles to a state where you're going to be able to get an abortion. If you think of the political map of the United States, it pretty much mirrors the way that this decision is going to be played out. So in the liberal northeastern states, in California, abortion access will be guaranteed. But in the more conservative South and parts of the Midwest, it's going to be impossible to get an abortion, very difficult, if not impossible. So this is an absolutely momentous ruling, and it is one which has come about because former US President Donald Trump was able to appoint 3 conservative justices to the Supreme Court. And that tipped the balance. The court now has a 6-3 conservative majority. We saw that yesterday with the gun ruling, which expanded the right to bear arms in the United States. And now, despite the fact that a recent opinion poll from the Wall Street Journal showed that 2/3 of Americans support the legal right to an abortion, and you can see there just those scenes from outside the Supreme Court now, just those campaigners who feel that abortion is something that shouldn't happen. Those people are celebrating, and those people who support a woman's right to choose incredibly upset. So this is a hugely divisive ruling, but one in which this court, which was shaped by former President Donald Trump, has really put its stamp on the laws of the land, with the gun ruling yesterday and today with this abortion ruling, and one which appears to go against public opinion. The question now, of course, is what is President Biden going to do about it? He was asked earlier in the week, and he said, well, we're looking at what executive actions we might be able to do, but it's pretty limited because the court has made it very clear that there is no constitutional right to an abortion. Abortion has now been returned to the states, so it's going to be down to what the states do, and the president maybe can do something.